The Tuskegee Syphilis study stands as a chilling reminder of medical ethics gone wrong. From 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service conducted this study in Macon County, Alabama. The men enrolled in the study, all African American, were subjected to procedures that defied medical ethics and basic human rights. Macon County, Alabama, had a high prevalence of syphilis, making it a strategic, though deeply troubling, choice for the PHS. The researchers wanted to understand the natural progression of untreated syphilis in Black men. This racist assumption fueled their research and contributed to the horrific injustice inflicted upon the participants. The study continued even after penicillin became the standard treatment in the 1940s. Men were denied a life-saving treatment and actively prevented from accessing syphilis treatment programs available to other citizens. The Tuskegee Syphilis study is a stark illustration of how racial prejudice can warp scientific inquiry and lead to devastating human suffering. The Tuskegee Syphilis study was presented as a study of bad blood. The men were promised free medical exams, meals, and burial insurance. The true aim was to observe untreated syphilis. The study targeted African American men due to racist beliefs. Researchers ignored the participants' dignity and proper care. The goal was to observe the disease's natural course, disregarding ethics. The researchers involved in the Tuskegee Syphilis study went to great lengths to deceive the participants. Men were not given informed consent. They were not told they had syphilis. Instead, they were led to believe they were receiving treatment for bad blood. The researchers used unethical tactics to ensure participation. They offered placebos and disguised painful spinal taps as therapeutic procedures. Even when penicillin became available, it was withheld from the men in the study. The researchers prioritized their own research interests over the health of the participants. The Tuskegee Syphilis study had devastating consequences for the men involved and their families. Untreated syphilis can lead to severe health complications, including heart disease, blindness, paralysis, mental deterioration, and death. Many of the men experienced these debilitating effects, enduring years of unnecessary suffering as their conditions worsened. Syphilis can be transmitted from mother to child during pregnancy, resulting in congenital syphilis. This can cause miscarriages, stillbirths, and serious health problems for infants who survive. The study's legacy includes generations affected by the decision to withhold treatment. Children and grandchildren of the participants have faced health challenges and carried the weight of this historical trauma. The physical and emotional toll on the participants and their families serves as a powerful indictment of the study's deeply flawed and immoral premise. The study's legacy continues to cast a long shadow, underscoring the importance of ethical considerations in research and the need for greater diversity and representation in the medical field. Section 5. Unveiling the truth. Public outrage and the end of the study.
In 1972, Peter Buxton, a former venereal disease investigator for the PHS, revealed the truth about the Tuskegee Syphilis study to the public.
Buxton had raised ethical concerns about the study within the PHS for years, but his protests were ignored. Frustrated by the agency's inaction, he contacted a reporter at the Washington Star.
The newspaper published a front-page expose on July 25, 1972, detailing the study's horrific practices.
Public reaction was immediate and outraged. The expose revealed the study's deeply unethical nature, sparking national condemnation. People were horrified that the government had conducted such a morally reprehensible experiment on its own citizens. The public outcry forced the PHS to finally end the study in 1972. However, the damage was already done, severely eroding public trust in the medical establishment, particularly among African Americans. Section 6, a turning point, legal and ethical reforms. The Tuskegee Syphilis study became a catalyst for significant changes in laws and regulations governing medical research. The National Research Act of 1974 was passed in direct response to the study's ethical violations. This landmark legislation created the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects of Biomedical and Behavioral Research. The Commission was tasked with developing ethical guidelines for research involving human subjects. One of its most important outcomes was the Belmont Report, published in 1979. This report established 3 fundamental ethical principles for research: respect for persons, beneficence, and justice. The Tuskegee Syphilis study also led to the establishment of institutional review boards, or IRBs. IRBs are committees responsible for reviewing and approving research proposals involving human subjects. These reforms, while a direct response to a dark chapter in American history, have had a lasting impact on the conduct of research. President Clinton's acknowledgement. In 1997, President Bill Clinton issued a formal apology for the Tuskegee Syphilis study. He expressed deep remorse for the suffering inflicted upon the participants and their families.
What was done cannot be undone, but we can end the silence. We can look at you in the eye and say, what the United States government did was shameful, and I'm sorry.
Section 8, Lasting Wounds, the Legacy of Tuskegee. The Tuskegee Syphilis study continues to cast a long shadow over the relationship between African Americans and the medical community. The study's legacy of mistrust persists, contributing to health disparities and reluctance to participate in research. The trauma inflicted by Tuskegee has been passed down through generations. It serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of medical racism and the importance of addressing historical injustices in healthcare. The Tuskegee Syphilis study is not an isolated incident. It is part of a larger pattern of medical abuse and exploitation of African Americans in the United States. Overcoming this legacy of mistrust is crucial to achieving health equity. Building trust requires acknowledging past wrongs, actively combating racism in healthcare settings, and ensuring equitable access to quality care for all. Section 9, Remembering Tuskegee, a call for vigilance. The Tuskegee Syphilis study stands as a stark reminder of the power dynamics that can shape medical research and the devastating consequences when ethical boundaries are crossed. Remembering Tuskegee means acknowledging that the potential for exploitation in medical research still exists. It requires ongoing education and training for researchers on ethical principles and cultural sensitivity. The Tuskegee Syphilis study must never be forgotten. By remembering Tuskegee, we honor the victims of this tragedy. we also reaffirm our commitment to upholding the highest ethical standards in research and ensuring that all individuals are treated with dignity, respect, and compassion in their interactions with the healthcare system.